Welcome to another virtual craft with the Paul Sawyer Public Library. My name is Diane and I'm the Community Service Librarian here at Paul Sawyer. Tonight we will be making felt succulents. Let's get started. If you registered for this class and received a craft kit, you will have received a piece of felt, a small terracotta pot, and a stencil with the shape of the leaves on it. In addition to that, you will also need a pair of scissors, a pen or a marker, a hot glue gun, and then some sort of scrap piece of paper. I have some inserts, coupon inserts from the newspaper. You could use just regular newsprint or even just a scrap piece of paper, plain piece of paper. It's going to be crumpled in the bottom of the pot, so you're not going to see it. It really doesn't matter what it is. So to begin, the first thing you're going to do is take your stencil and cut out the shape of each of the leaves. You'll notice on your stencil, if you have one, that each of the leaves is labeled A, B, and C. And then beneath that, it tells how many of each leaf that you'll need to cut out. So we'll need 3 of the smallest, 4 of the middle size, and 7 of the largest. If you didn't receive a craft kit, we do have this stencil uploaded on to the website where you can access that, and also in the Facebook event. So let's start out by cutting these. After you've cut out your little stencil pieces, you're going to trace the number that we discussed before, that number of each of these leaves onto your piece of felt. So we need to do 7 of the large leaf. Once you've finished stenciling those on to your felt, then you will begin cutting each of the leaves out. Since we are using a lighter colored felt, I'm going to try and cut my leaves out kind of on the inside line, or inside of the line where I've drawn it on, just so there's not as much black on the edges. That's totally up to your preference. A lot of succulents do have a little bit of a shading on the edges of the leaves. So if you like that look, you're more than welcome to just cut it out normally. So the center of your succulent is going to revolve around one of the small leaves. So you're going to take the leaf, and this is going to be the fold that we do for all the leaves to start with. You're going to hold it and fold it in half, but it's going to be at an offset, just like that. So open them back up. You're going to do a small line of glue across the center. Fold it at an offset and hold it there. Just kind of pinch it until it sets up. Once you've done that, to form the very center piece of your succulent, you're only going to do this once. You're going to take that center leaf and you're going to kind of curl it onto itself. Just fold it in half to kind of curl it together. You're going to take a little dot of glue. Don't burn your fingers. Curl it together. Kind of pinch it. And that will be the center of your succulent. And we'll sit our little center leaf down for a moment and take our other small leaves one at a time. And we're going to repeat that first fold where we fold it in half and an offset. We're going to do that with each of these leaves. Now we will start to form the actual succulent around the little central piece that we made. So you'll see that you kind of have the little seam where you brought the edges of that little center piece together. So you're going to take one of your pieces that you just folded, and you're going to glue it to kind of cover that seam and wrap around that side. So you'll put a little bit of glue here, put that piece on and wrap it around. Little line of glue. Don't need too much. Cover that seam. Put it right on there and wrap it around. You can actually start to see the center of your succulent forming. I'm going to take the other piece now, the other small piece, and do the same thing. But now you'll see you've got a little gap here on the other side of your center, and you're just going to glue that over that piece. Put that right over to fill in that spot. There we are. Now that we've used all of our small leaves, we're going to go on to our medium-sized leaves. But we're going to keep on with the same folding technique and then gluing onto the center piece. Each time we glue onto the center, we'll put it over the seam that's left from the time before. So to start, I'm going to go ahead and do all 4 of these to create the folded leaves. Continue on and glue those pieces around our center, our succulent center, just like we did with the small leaves. So this first one, do a small line of glue. Find the seam, place that at the bottom, and wrap it. This is when you can really start to see the shape of the succulent forming. Got all of our center pieces on now. And we'll continue with the larger leaves. We're going to do the same technique. We'll glue, fold at an offset, and then continue to put them on the seam left from the leaf before gluing them on. And finally, with these largest leaves, we're going to just keep on gluing and wrapping them around, just like we did with the smaller ones. You'll find where you have a seam on the side. Take one of your leaves, a little bit of glue, and you're going to just cover that seam. Wrap it around That's what the bottom will be looking like. Just a little circle there. Once you get to the end point, you'll see that I have one of the large leaves left over. Now, I like the way that my succulent has turned out. It looks balanced using only 6. Now, depending on how tightly your succulent is wound or glued in, you may find that you need to use the 7th leaf. I like the way mine looks, so I think I'm going to leave it without it, but that's totally up to your preference. You can kind of look at the bottom, the sides, and just see what you think looks best. And that's the great thing about crafting. They're all going to be a little different, a little special, but they'll all be beautiful. So now that you have your succulent formed, all glued together, it should be all set up. It doesn't take long for the glue to dry. You can kind of fluff it out. If you want it to be a little bit more pointing upwards, a little more vertical, you can leave it like that. You can fluff it down however you like. You can separate the points a little bit, just whatever looks best to you. But it's time to put it in the pot. So to take up a little bit of space in the pot, we're just going to take a piece of paper. It doesn't take much. I'm going to crumple it up and put it down in the base of your pot. And then just kind of see if you need more paper in there, if you need less paper in there, by putting your succulent bloom on top, just to see how that fits. That actually fits perfectly. So what I'm going to do now is put some glue all around the base of the succulent and then glue it down onto the paper so it stays in the pot. If you're worried about it coming out of the pot, you can also put some glue on the base of your paper or in the base of your pot to keep that down in there. I'm not really concerned about that, so I'm just going to leave it like it is. Get a good amount of glue on the base of the succulent. Just squish it down there on that paper. Let that set up for a second. And there you have it. We hope you've enjoyed creating your felt succulent at home with us. This is something that you could definitely recreate with other colors of felt. Since there's lots of different shades of succulents, you could do purples, different shades of green, really make it your own. One of my colleagues even suggested using a chalk or some other, like a marker or something like that, to do the edges of your succulent so you can get that gradient of color. It's really up to you. But we hope you've enjoyed yourself. We hope you'll join us again very soon for another virtual craft. We thank you very much and we hope you have a good night.